I would now like to welcome Mark Lacker and Andrew Young to the stage to present for Venture for America. Mark is the John W. Altman Clinical Professor of Entrepreneurship at Miami University of Ohio. This year, he received the Richard K. Smucker Award for Outstanding Clinical Faculty. He's also president and founder of Sumner Solutions. Andrew is the founder and president of Venture for America. He has appeared on CNBC, Fox News, Time, TechCrunch, the list goes on. And he was named a champion of change by the White House in 2011 for his work with Venture for America, and was also named one of Fast Company's 100 most creative people in business this year. Welcome.
Elizabeth, is that right? Can you stay up here? Sorry, Elizabeth doesn't know this. We're going to use her as a little bit of a market test. But Mark?
I've been involved with Venture for America, and here's why. We've sort of talked around it all morning long. We have kids who love entrepreneurship. You know who they are. They were all over the business plan competition. They probably started a student-run business with their buddies. But what happens on graduation day? We lose them to industry. These are the kind of kids that want to make a significant contribution to a meaningful growth company or startup. And today, we actually have a career choice to allow them to do so. My friend, president and founder, Andrew Yang, is going to tell you a little bit more about Venture for America now, and then in our breakout session later, we'll dig into the details.
All right, thanks so much. I think we're a natural sequel to Alana's presentation. This is what happens upon graduation. So when I graduated from Brown back in '96, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went to law school, which is what you do if you don't know what you want to do. And it clarified absolutely nothing for me. And so I became an attorney very briefly, then started an ill-fated .com that went bust in the first .com crash. Then I was determined to get better at building a business. So I'd ask you guys, like, what would you suggest to your students if they said, hey, I just started a company, it failed, and I want to get better? So what would you have them do? Anyone shout it out?
Work with an early stage company.
Sorry, what was that?
Work with an early stage company.
That's exactly right. And so that's what I did. I found an entrepreneur, and I became his sidekick for 4 years. So that company raised about $7 million and got to about $3 million revenue when I was there. Probably did better after I left. And then I left to become the CEO of an education company called Manhattan GMAT that was acquired by the Washington Post in 2009. So I learned a few things. One is how hard it is to start a company, and two, that you can get a lot better through apprenticeship in this, because there's a huge gulf between starting entrepreneurship and then starting your own company. We have to create a middle ground. So I asked Elizabeth to stand here awkwardly. I'm sorry about that, Elizabeth. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to just pick on professional services a little bit. So this is what we think is a nationwide problem that you guys have probably experienced on some level. So think about the 10 brightest people you've had through your center in the last 10 years, and think about what they did upon graduation. And so I don't know if this is accurate for you, but Elizabeth, so here's where the picking on starts. So what were the 4 most popular things to do at Harvard? And the stats are the same or similar for Georgetown. So Elizabeth, you're the head of the startup club at Georgetown. What are your peers going to do?
They're going to go into consulting, into, I don't know, some firm on Wall Street, maybe education.
So the stats in Georgetown resemble this, but about 2/3 are going to do one of those 4 things. And then you end up with industry down here in the potpourri category, along with grad school, nonprofits. Teach for America has its own line item, and then 10% are undecided. So they go to Europe, and then they become consultants. And it's not just a Harvard thing or a Georgetown thing. It's pretty much any top school that you look at the data, and that's what happens. So back to you, Elizabeth. Why is it then? Well, actually, sorry, let's do a regional thing. So if you have half of your Harvard and Georgetown kids becoming bankers, consultants, and lawyers, where are they going to live? New York, San Francisco, Boston, DC, where we are right now. And now, there are all of these other parts of the country that could use entrepreneurs. They could use job growth, they could use development of economic opportunity. Right now, our national university system is essentially a talent siphon for most of the country. If you're a smart kid from Florida, you go to Georgetown, odds are high you're going to become a banker, consultant, lawyer, work in New York, DC, Boston. Odds are very low you're going to go back to Florida, start a company, create jobs. And that's how we end up with this picture, which we all live in and experience. So why is it then, Elizabeth, that those are the popular paths? Because I know that freshmen in college have no idea what management consulting is. So why is it that 15% of Georgetown kids are going to go do it?
Because my peers don't know about Venture for America.
Wow. Thank you. Look at that, 5 minutes to spare. So to the extent that you have students like Elizabeth, please let them know about Venture for America, because we're here to fix this problem. So here are their decision rules, and this is all market tested. Prestige, clearly marked path, progress, opens doors, money, gains skills, community, and then this something good pro-social. Believe it or not, people become bankers and consultants because they think they need to become a baller first, and then they can return to the people later with loaves of bread. So what do you think of this list, Elizabeth?
Looks pretty accurate.
Fantastic. All right. So here are the structural reasons, kind of the opposite of the last. Why is it that your kids love startups, and then come senior year, they get an offer from Deloitte, and then they take it? Like, what are the barriers? Money, got to eat. They have parents that love them. Student loans, debt. A lot of it's that they feel they still need skill development and support, because on some level they recognize at the age of 21, 22, they might not have what it takes. I didn't have what it takes. Health insurance. So one is they're not recruited. Deloitte has a presence on campus, the startups don't. 2, it's hard to find a suitable startup because most of this is informal. 3, there's no community or peer group, unclear prospects for training, advancement, or success, no network, idea, money, tech proficiency. So they all say, you know what, I'm going to become a banker consultant to quote unquote learn about business, and then again I can return and do what I want to do. How many of you guys have heard some variant of this? Anyone? Show of hands. I did it. I mean, there's not much mystery here. All of the structural and institutional forces drive in certain directions, and then we expect these kids to somehow swim against the current. We expect them to ignore all of the structural forces. What we have to do is we have to build a system out of a system instead of expect them all to be anomalies. It's like the Matrix, but in reverse. All right, so what if the same proportion of talent that is currently flowing to professional services instead went to growth companies around the country? How long would that take to impact job growth and innovation? You guys get an over-under on this? How many years? 2, 5. You guys are even more optimistic than we are. We gave ourselves 13 years. So what we're going to do is we're going to recruit the best college graduates in the country who are willing to work relatively inexpensively for startups, for existing entrepreneurs. So they're going to become an early stage hire at a growth company like our friend recommended. If they get selected for this program, we bring them to a training camp where they make best friends with another 80 ass kickers, so they know that they're getting all of the things they want out of the banking and consulting firm. Because Elizabeth knows when her friends go to these banks and consulting firms, they just want to make friends with each other, like in large part. So we're going to let them make friends with each other, and we're going to send them in groups of 10 to 15 to Detroit, Baltimore, Cincinnati, where they work with Mark, Cleveland, Providence, New Orleans, Las Vegas, all of these cities that are not traditional destinations but have fantastic, promising growth opportunities. So imagine this, your promising senior comes to you and says, hey, I'm not ready to start a company, what should I do? And then you say to them, how would you like to work with an entrepreneur for 2 years, have the training, professional development, network, and it's prestigious? And what will they say to you?
Yes.
Yes. They'll say, where do I sign up? And then the catch is, look, it's really competitive, because in order for Venture for America to be Venture for America, it needs to be a pain to get into. So we have an acceptance rate of less than 10%. The first year class included top grads from Harvard, Yale, MIT, but our smartest kid is probably from University of Oklahoma. Don't let anyone know that I said that. I mean, in the class, because then they'll all feel bad if I say that about Scott. So the training camp included McKinsey, IDEO, and at the end of the 2 years, we actually give $100,000 in seed investment to the top performing class. Because we think if you're sincere that this is the way to develop future business builders and job creators, you have to give them some money. But the money is just going to be the beginning. So our mission is to revitalize American cities and communities through entrepreneurship, enable our best and brightest to create new opportunities for themselves and others, and to restore our culture of achievement to include value creation, risk and reward, and the common good. So if you have young people that resemble this, that you think would benefit from this program, please send them our way. We have applications that are open right now. We're going to take 80 to 100 this year. We're probably expecting about 1,000 applicants, but I'll say that your students have a leg up because they're getting in relatively early. Because in subsequent years, the number is probably going to be more like 10,000 or 50,000 instead of about 1,000 applicants. Because like not everyone knows about us yet. We're about 15 months old. So I'm actually going to stop. I have 1 minute and 10 seconds, and I'd like to take some questions because I have some time. And I thought, hey.
Why don't we move on?
All right, my bad. We're going to use the minute. So use the minute for another speaker, which would be dynamite. So again, Andrew Yang, Venture for America, thank you all. Please send them our way.